Hello, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Victor, and I'm going to be explaining to you the theme me and my group, came up with. Our theme that we came up with is women strive to become as powerful as men, but never achieve that level of power. Now, you might be asking yourself, what does that mean? Well, what it means is that throughout history, women have always been at the bottom of the social hierarchy. Women have never been represented. Women have never had any rights throughout the world. No matter what region, women were always seen as inferior to men. And in United States history, women strived to get equal rights as men, or the same rights as men. And they got pretty close. Even right now, today, women have many, many rights. But even today, this is a male-dominated society, or a patriarchal society. And in this book, The Handmaid's Tale, in Gilead, this takes place in the future after the fall of the United States. It can be seen that women's rights were completely reversed. They were stripped away, so nothing was the same anymore. Women couldn't no longer read. They no longer had freedom of speech. They couldn't write. They basically couldn't do anything without being supervised by men, or without having authority over them. So that's why women strive to become as powerful as men when they fought for equal rights in the United States history, but they never achieved that level of power. It just completely reversed. They no longer had no rights anymore. So therefore, women, they just naturally can't be as powerful as men.
Alright, go.
A quote on page 39 of Atwood's Handmaid's Tale says this: "I would like to believe this is a story I'm telling. I need to believe it. I must believe it. Those who can believe that such stories are only stories have a better chance. If it's a story I'm telling, then I have control over the ending. Then there will be an ending to the story, and real life will come after it. I can pick up where I left off. It isn't a story I'm telling. It's also a story I'm telling in my head as I go along. Tell rather than write, because I have nothing to write with, and writing is in any case forbidden." So, to me, the main point that I get from this quote is that during the Gilead time period, women were restricted from many things, such as reading and writing. For example, she wasn't really allowed to play Scrabble, although she played with the commander, but she wasn't supposed to play. They were restricted from freedom of speech. Women were completely restricted from the rights that they used to have in the pre-Gilead time period. So, like, before Gilead, women in the United States were more powerful than those in Gilead, but even then, women were still seen as inferior to men in a male-dominated society. Throughout history, women have strived to have equal representation as that of men, but never has it been that women in general are more powerful than men in society. The reality is that naturally men in general have the upper hand. During the U.S. history or present time, women have reached their all-time heights in the social status, but it was seen that it all went reversed in Gilead due to the idea that women never reached the equal status as men. That's all I have to say. That was repetition, by the way. Go.
So my literary device is imagery, and the quote I use is found on page 91, and it says, "They took her into the room that used to be the science lab. It was a room where none of us ever went willingly. Afterwards, she could not walk for a week. Her feet would not fit into her shoes. They were too swollen. It was as if it was the feet they do for a first offense. They used steel cables, frayed at the ends. After that, the hands. They didn't care what they did to your feet or your hands, even if it was permanent. Remember," said Aunt Lydia, "for our purposes, your feet and your hands are not essential." So at this point of the story, Moira is trying to escape the Red Center, and the Red Center is a place where the women were taught to be handmaids. What she tried to do was fake an illness. The Guardians came with an ambulance, and they soon found out that she was faking it. So what they did was they took steel cables and they started hitting her in her feet, which is where the imagery is shown. What it does is it shows it shows the power that the government has toward the citizens. So they weren't able to do anything. So pretty much the hurting of the feet is basically saying that if you try to do something, we're gonna punish you. That way you won't try to do it, because in this case, if the woman were to try to do something to go against the government or the society, the social laws, they'll pretty much get punished for it. This shows the power of the male dominance in the sense that they could do whatever they want to whoever they want, just to show that they pretty much have the power over everything. And that's it. That's all I'm gonna say.
Alright, so my quote is on page 24. Alright, no, wait.
Alright, go. It's okay.
So my quote is on page 24 in the middle, where it says, "Women were not protected then. I remember the rules. Rules that were never spelled out, but that every woman knew. Don't open your door to a stranger, even if he says he is the police. Make him slide his ID under the door. Don't stop on the road to help a motorist pretending to be in trouble. Keep the locks on and keep going. If anyone whistles, don't turn to look. Don't go into a laundromat by yourself at night." So this passage is an anaphora, and an anaphora is where the author repeats the starting sentence multiple times. So it says, like where it says right here, it says, "I remember the rules that were never spelled out." So it's like she's repeating the word rules. And this quote shows how women depended on men to protect them. Like she says that women were not protected back then. So it's saying that like they now need protection, and that they're not as powerful as men. So as we see, it says that women continued, it ties with our theme when it says women continue to strive for power, but yet they didn't meet their goal. They just continued, and in that effort to increase it, they even lowered it even more. As we see on with the handmaids, they were easily replaced, but although they were taken care of, they needed someone to take care of them. They weren't able to take care of themselves as men were. That's why they don't talk about men being the ones who need taken care of, but rather women. So it just ties in with that theme saying that women, although they strived to be as powerful as men, they could never really achieve it. That's it, dude.
So the literary device I used was symbolism, and the quote that I used was on page 73 and 74, and it states, "I used to think of my body as an instrument of pleasure or a means of transportation, or an implement for the accomplishment of my will. Now the flesh arranges itself differently. I'm a cloud congealed around a central object, the shape of a pear, which is hard and more real than I am, and glows red within its translation rapidly." And this passage is from chapter 13, and when Alfred is sitting down in the bath naked, and she's describing the way she used to think about her body to the way she thinks about it now. She now sees her body as an instrument where her only job is to produce babies in society. The handmaid's role in the novel is to produce babies, in which the red indicates childbirth. So red can also symbolize the blood of the menstrual cycle, like Victor already said, and of childbirth, which is the only job that the handmaids really have to do. Offred as a handmaid has one goal, and that is to produce babies. Women cannot vote, hold property or jobs, read, or do anything else that might allow them to be independent and thereby undermine their husbands or the state. Their only job is to create babies. They are reduced to producing babies, treated as nothing more as a set of ovaries and a womb.
You good? Alright. So now I'm going to be explaining the images we have. We have 5 images. The first one I'll be explaining is this one right here. I hope you can see it. If you can't, Renee, come closer. You guys see it? Alright. So this is an image of a woman. She looks a little bit scared. She has a hand over her mouth. So it's basically saying, or basically portraying that women in the story, they had no freedom to speak. They basically had no rights whatsoever. Women couldn't even say anything without even being scared that they were gonna get, or they couldn't even say anything without being worried that they would get captured or that they would get caught. That's why it kind of connects to my quote, which says, those who believe that such stories are only stories have a better chance. So what does it mean to have a better chance? Well, what to say right there is a better chance of not getting caught, because women couldn't even write or read. So she's saying it's simply a story, so that she has a better chance of not being caught. So Offred was most of the time scared to say anything that would go against what they believed in Gilead. So that's what that picture means, if I made sense. And the second picture I'll be explaining, I'll explain this one. You can't see, you're gonna get closer. It's basically a picture of red lips. To me, the composition or the amount of space that the red lips takes up is very great, and it's like popping out, and then like the rest is just white in the background right here, so it kind of emphasizes the red, and then the mouth is completely shut. So what this is saying is that women, they were also, like again, they were restricted, they had no freedom to speak, and then the red, as many of you know in the story, red symbolizes fertility or the ability to bear children, like the blood in the menstrual cycle, you know. So that's what this means right here. So basically, the woman's only job were to bear children, which is the red, fertility, and they couldn't say anything. Their only job was to bear children. That connects to our theme, women strive to become as powerful as men, but in reality, they never really got there, because the only job they have is to bear children. Not really that powerful, if you ask me. And right here, I'll be explaining this image. It's really small, so you want to get closer, Renee. Alright. So basically, all the handmaids are lined up. This one's pregnant already. To me, it kind of reminded me of a factory. Like, women are kind of used as materials. Or like, it's like an assembly line right here. Like, okay, next, you know, that kind of thing. Women are basically being used as tools right there. That's all I have to say about that. And this one right here, you can see a woman with like, her lips are shut together. So it kind of relates to this image. And this image right here is basically the same thing. She had no freedom to speak. Nothing much to say about that, you know. This one was really interesting to me right here. Renee, get up closer one more time. It's it's a man playing with like a, what is it called? A little puppet, something like that. And it's a woman. The woman looks significantly smaller than the man, showing that she is inferior to him. And the man is basically playing with her. So men basically play with women, they control women, you know, machista, that kind of thing. And that completely relates to our thing, that men are more, will always naturally be more powerful than women. So that's nothing much to say about that image right there. And I'm done. Let's go.